Hello, how you doing? I'm in my garage, and it's kind of lightly raining. I feel like I'm in a cabin by a lake or something like that. My dogs are here. One of them's psychotically licking the floor, um, and so on and so forth. So here's how I would approach this, because there's so many different ways that have been assessed and measured and things like that. So I like the word psychometrics, and measurement gives us an opening into how we can approach that. So you'll notice I'm taking just that one chunk. I'm not looking at the racism or community or cultural or anything like that yet. And this is intended to give you um, more of the driving seat in what to do. My dog is giving me sad eyes. He wants to climb up into my lap. Sorry, Charlie. So, psychometrics and measurement. If we do that, really wide open search, and I'm going to show you a couple ways of doing that. This is the library catalog, and I've already logged in, and it's searching. And this is what I wanted to show you. I'm going to move my head to the other side. When you go into, well, first of all, there's like, it'll give you like a smattering. It's like, oh, do you want books? Do you want this? I'm just going to go into catalog, and there's articles in there as well. But the cool thing is this indexes it, and we can see all the ways that measurement is described. And this will allow you the ability to pick and choose what you're interested in, or customize your search depending on what you're looking for. Can you hear the rain? It's really awesome. There we go. Catalog takes a long time to search because it's what we used to call a union search, where it's pulling from databases, it's pulling from the catalog, it's pulling from circulation records, and all of these different things are talking to it at the same time. And back in the day, it was just like this big revolution that it took like 30 minutes to do a search. Now it's just an annoying 2-minute search. So what I'm looking for is when you're an author of an article or a book, you typically show what the most important things are by listing them as keywords, author supplied keywords. Sometimes they're called subjects. In the library catalog, they are lumped under subject, but depending on the database, they might call it author keywords or magic keywords. There's a trend right now to make up your own search. Web of Science is changing this. But if you go under subject, those two keywords that we had, you can see, let's look for measurements. So there's like disciplines, there's psychometrics defined specifically, but then there's like analysis, there's instruments, there's tests. So you get the idea. This might help you figure out more of a narrowing down of what it is for a measurement that you actually want. I'm just going to go into psychometrics, and then I'm going to show you how I would approach this just initially. And you might have to dig further. You will have to dig further. I'm going to move my head again. I'm petting Charlie's head. Okay. When you're looking at these, if you see something, especially like an article that looks good, you can look for those keywords. And it could be like psychological measurement and so on and so forth. But I've already done this. So I know that psychometrics is that good one. So I could go in and narrow that way and add keywords. But you can also go into advanced search and just say, I want the field subject. And I only want to search in that. So now I don't need measurement. But you might have wanted to put in psychological tests, or you might have wanted to put in something else in that subject. But then this is where you would put in racism or some of those other keywords. The trouble with some of the other things that you were looking for is they have multiple names for them. And so this is where you might have to try out keyword after keyword after keyword and see what the body of literature is talking about. So if scientists are not using the term racism, are they going to be using the word discrimination instead? So this is where you would like go through each one of those. Another thing that you can do, moving my head again, is after you've done a search, so there's 600 results, then you can narrow down by time frame or discipline. You can go into subject, or something that I often do is I want to see what's being talked about right now. I don't necessarily want a psychometric from 1971. I don't want a psychometric from 1971. They're probably doing something that's like not ethical or it's out of date, but you can just do date newest. And it'll sort that way. Ooh, and then there's like stuff, look at that, like super relevant, super new stuff. And somewhere in here, racism shows up. So you might have to cruise through and see how they're measuring these things. So there we may have found one already. And you might put, again, different keywords like that. Let me show you a different database. This one is all articles. So we know the psychometrics is going to be a good keyword under subjects. Let's try that same trick. And I remember you were looking at the medical as well. So under databases, there's a couple we can look at. Oh, by the way, you may be familiar with this already, but you could go into and see large disciplinary groups. So I would recommend you go into medicine as well as nursing. Nursing has tons of stuff like this where they're assessing populations. Those two sections are really good. The one that I wanted to show you is under social sciences, though, and you can go in by name. And there's this new one that we got about a year ago called Social Science. I always forget the name of it. There it is, Social Science Premium Collection. This one's got, when criminology became a major a year ago or so, we didn't have adequate resources. And this one bundled a lot of journals in that were working out really well. So on this one, you can do the same thing. You can go, and I've done this search already in here, but you can go into advanced search up here. They moved it. They move everything right at the beginning of summer, and then right after July, they go, oh, you know, that didn't test really well. Let's move it again the day before the semester begins. Okay, so here you can see the search that I've done. Subject heading, and there's all sorts of different things that you can search under. You could go by title, I often do that. And then you could do racism, but you could also do racism in the article title, or this one they call it document title. So now I know that racism is in there, but I don't want it to show up in the abstract. I want it to be directly in the title and psychometrics in the subject. Drum roll. 22. So this is even a more focused way to go about that. When you go into title specifically, though, you are taking that risk of screening off the ones that used discrimination or stereotypes or some other word instead of racism. So the burden falls onto you to narrow it down that way. If you're not familiar with the University of Utah library and how we get access to articles, this View It button will look for the article in whatever databases that we have. I've got incense, maybe to keep the garage stink away, but smoke keeps wafting in front of the computer, just in case you were wondering. Oh, cool, we have like a QR code in our catalog now. But here you can see, this is the article that I clicked on, and that's the database that you would ostensibly find it in. So that was just that View It button. Okay? Let me know if you have any questions. I apologize for the ambiguous, wide open answer, but I wanted to be able to show you how to access decades and decades of things so you can pick what you think the best instrument is. Okay? Let me know how it goes. Happy to help.